Is this 2025 Clemson football team, is this the best one since the Trevor Lawrence era? I'm going to jump into that in just a second. And hey, if anything, we're going to have some fun with them with this one. Thanks for joining me. I'm Brian. Thanks for hanging out with me, talking college football in May. There's never a time not to talk college football, especially Clemson football. If you like doing that, I hope you'll support the channel by subscribing. It is free, and I do appreciate it. The last powerful team that Clemson had that would play you anywhere, it didn't matter where, it didn't matter what conference you're from, it doesn't matter how history was good to you and you were dominant and so on. Everyone else would play you and you would lose, or maybe you were the new flavor of the past decade. You were incredible. Clemson would play you and Clemson would beat you. And there's two eras that we could talk about. And I say eras, but it's really quarterbacks. Deshaun Watson and Trevor Lawrence. And what a time that was to be a Clemson fan. The team scored a lot of points. The quarterbacks could take over a game at will. And, I mean, there was little to nothing that you could do. And then, of course, we know what happened after Trevor left. And it's just been like, So I'm going to go ahead and give you my answer right off the bat. I mean, we're not even 2 minutes into this video. I do believe legitimately this is the best Clemson football team since the Trevor Lawrence era. Pause there. Listen to the qualifier. I did not say the team with the most expectation, though there's a lot of expectation. You're like, what do you mean by that, Brian? Let me explain. The year after Trevor left, there was a lot of expectation for Clemson, and rightfully so. DJ came out as a freshman, won one game that he had to fill in for Trevor, played lights out against Notre Dame, threw for more yardage than they'd ever had thrown against them, I believe, at Notre Dame Stadium. So there was a lot of expectation, and rightfully so. But now, this team looks like that not only is the expectation there, it's legitimately there because a lot of the pieces are there. That's the biggie. Now, I know some of you'll hit me up, you'll leave comments on my videos, and you'll say, hey, it's nice to see that you're more optimistic now. Folks, I want to tell you this. I didn't go get some depression medicine, and this is just the effects of it. Clemson football, let me rephrase that. Dabo Swinney is giving us legitimate, tangible reasons to have high expectations for this team, for this upcoming season. And there may be different reasons for different people, different media personalities, but I am telling you straight up, the reason that the media is starting to go gaga over Clemson, you should make fun of me for saying it like that, is because a lot of the right pieces are finally there. So I'm not being positive or optimistic just because I sat down with a psychiatrist one day and he said, you know what? I think you seem a little too bitter here and there. And you're just taking it out on the Clemson football team. No, there's legitimate reasons to be optimistic, cautiously optimistic. What are those pieces? Now, some of this, if you watch my channel all the time, you're going to know. But we're going to go over those reasons why this is the best team since the Trevor Lawrence era, legitimately. First off, we're going to start with Dabo Swinney. I've praised Dabo when Dabo was Daboing, and I criticized him when he was not living up to the expectation that he created. Expectation is a compliment. When they see someone or an organization as a worthwhile opponent, someone who has the ability to actually accomplish great things, they begin to have expectations of you. Again, that's a compliment. If no one has expectations for you, of you, however you want to put it, they think you're a loser. So, the pressure that comes with having expectations of actually accomplishing things that in this man's case, he had won 2 national championships in a 3-year period. He was the only person that was giving Nick Saban nightmares. Everybody else, Nick Saban would play in the national championship. He would run through them like food poisoning. And it's only been over the last few years that Saban was coaching that he started having some trouble. A little more trouble than what he was having, but I mean, he still got what I mean by that is they did not win the national championships. I won't say as easily as they did, but it looked pretty doggone easy. But Clemson, it was Clemson football. It was Dabo Swinney who did it. So Dabo, I was afraid, was about to move to a small town that is full of has-been heroes. It's called Has-Beenville. They did some great things, but they've won. They're going to basically retire at the school they're at. They'll continue to receive the paycheck, but don't have any expectations of them. And I was afraid Swinney was going there. In fact, it looked like he was about to buy a large home there. And then he turned the corner. And for anyone who wants to look at me and say, well, Brian, you should have had a little more faith in Swinney is a human being. He is not the Almighty. And human beings can surprise you. And what did he do to change everything that's going on to make me sit here and say, yeah, I think this is definitely the best team since the Trevor era? He hired guys who knows what they're doing. That's why everyone is losing their mind now over Clemson football. That's one of the reasons why. One of the reasons why if you're turning on ESPN, if you're looking at CBS Sports on 3 24/7, you're watching guys like Josh Pate. You're watching guys who has a growing YouTube channel that's maybe an independent or whatever. The reason that they are, even if they hate Clemson, even if they think that Dabo Swinney is a snake oil salesman, they realize he has put the proper pieces in place. Is it complete? Is there a few people I'm still wondering if they should be on Clemson's coaching staff? Absolutely. But with him hiring Tom Allen, he made a very bold statement. I tried hiring a bunch of players, former players, and it didn't work out. Yes, I have learned my lesson. He fired former Clemson player, quarterback, and longtime assistant position coach, Brandon Streeter, after 1 year of being the offensive coordinator. Who did he replace him with? Garrett Riley. Now, Garrett, I'm going to tell you, I'm holding my breath with him. But he was the hottest commodity at OC at the time he was hired. Seemed to open up things a little bit more last year. Again, still holding my breath, but Swinney went out and got someone else. Swinney fired another former Clemson player that was offensive line coach, got rid of him. Who did he hire? The best offensive line coach in America, who just happens to seemingly be one of the nicest, most genuine people that you ever... I would be shocked if Matt Luke is not a great guy. But he hired him. That brings more confidence for all us fans. And we saw the immediate improvement of the offensive line just with him having 9 months with him, 8 months with him. Can you imagine what's going to happen this year with 4 out of 5 offensive linemen coming back? And this is year 2 with him? That's another reason people are looking at this team and go, whoa. Bringing in Tom Allen and firing Wes and bringing in Tom Allen, that was a massive move. Yet another outsider to come inside And this lets me know that Swinney he tried an experiment, and now he's riding the ship. And I'm telling you, this is the biggest reason that we should be hopeful. His approach to NIL with paying each player in some form, and then the profit sharing, and then turn around and pushing NIL for the players who, hey, I'm bought in. Well, hey, if you're bought in, we're bought into you. But if we even get a whiff of an old fart that you're shopping yourself, we're not playing this game, man. We're not doing this. Transfer to UCLA. We're not doing it. So he's handling NIL, I think, quite well. Perfect? No. But can you tell me who's handling NIL better than Dabo Swinney right now? I didn't ask who was paying more, who had the bigger pockets. I asked who's handling it better. During the week that whole fiasco at Tennessee was going on, Dabo Swinney looked awfully good. He went to the transfer portal. He pulled 3 players that I think definitely have an immediate. 2 out of the 3, I believe, is definitely going to have an immediate impact, almost immediate, if not 3 out of 3. And I want to pause there and say this. I may even do a separate video on this, but one of the reasons that you're seeing like major media go wild over Dabo Swinney right now is not because the reasons they should be going crazy, like the coaches that I just named out that was hired in very, very good moves, especially Luke and Allen. And I have nothing against Garrett. I'm just wondering if Garrett's going to get out of that conservative play calling when he plays a very good football team. That has what's been haunting him. Or I say conservative, it's just ineffective. So it's where I'm holding my breath with Garrett. No hard feelings towards him. But Garrett Riley needs to beat a big football team. He needs to beat a big football team with his offense. Running up 7,000 yards on doo-doo state, it's great for stats, but you got to do your thing against the Georgias and the LSUs and so on. But he's got a lot of the right pieces in place, and I'm going to give him that, and I'm not getting negative here. But the reason that you're seeing the media go gaga over, I did it again, you should make fun of me. I don't know why I'm saying that. I don't know. Anyway, is because Swinney used the transfer portal. He went out and got 3 really good players, and I'm happy that he did. But my optimism that I have towards this team, and why I'm saying it's the best team since the Trevor Lawrence era, is not because he went and got 3 players out of the transfer portal. It's not. I'm glad they're good. Man, that makes me more optimistic. But other people, just as long as he's using the transfer portal, they now think that the guy has arrived, and they're totally overlooking the things that should make you go, this team has a lot of really good pieces there. Let's talk about the other reasons. So, by the way, thank you, Coach Swinney, for doing that. Thank you for hiring those coaches. One man, Tom Allen, has already, I mean, people are still raving about just the way he carries himself during a practice. That's one guy. One. Can you imagine if Swinney continues to hire more people like this guy, more guys like Matt Luke? People talking about the power of Matt Luke and his ability to coach, and it's all. Can you imagine if Clemson had a sideline full of those guys? Holy smokes. But at least Coach Swinney is doing this, and that's why I think this. Let's move on to players. This is a nah-duh statement. Cade Klubnik, year 3, with year 3 offensive coordinator Garrett Riley. The pieces are there. Your quarterback knows your playbook. Your quarterback knows your tendency. Have you ever worked with someone who was brilliant in whatever capacity it may be, but you really didn't know their tendencies? Like there were certain things that was just like industry common knowledge or whatever it was that you were doing. It was common knowledge and you kind of hit it off. But one day you finally got that chemistry nailed down and you knew one another's tendencies. And man, you really got a lot done. Man, you had success. Whatever that field may be. I've had that in a few situations. And folks, I'm telling you, a quarterback and offensive coordinator knowing one another very well, the trust that's there, the camaraderie that's there, the trust between a quarterback and an offensive coordinator to where the quarterback can say, I see this and I think we need to do that. So guess what? The offensive coordinator, instead of saying, I call the plays here. And I'm not saying Riley does that, but some guys do. There's a great Instagram post of Matt Castle talking about he and Haley getting into it when he was at the Chiefs. Oh my God, it is gold. Gold. You need to go watch that. You need to finish watching my video and then go find it. It is glorious. Anyway, these two guys, Klubnik and Riley, they know one another well. And I think that this year, you're going to see a level of trust in Cade Klubnik between those two it's going to be a problem for a lot of people. So much so that if you see Cade or certain plays not be called, it will be completely and totally on Riley and not Cade. But I'm hoping that's not going to happen because of all those things. Let's move on to the success. You're looking at Garrett Riley, how he must feel right now. Oh, third-year starter. The guy cut his interceptions in half last year. He went from 9 interceptions to 4 interceptions, or was it 5? If it's 5, I know it's actually over half of 9, 4.5. But his passing yards there was a lot more passing yards. His mobility was used. But can you imagine Garrett Riley right now looking at his team going, hold on, man. I have an offensive line that can block, and I have an offensive line mastermind running the show. That opens up the playbook. And yeah, there's questions at running back that people have, but I've said this multiple times, and other people who was at the spring game, I'm not worried about the running back room. I'm not. And how Garrett Riley must feel knowing that he has the third-year starter, the 4 out of 5 offensive linemen returning, led by one of the best offensive linemen in football. And then you turn around and realize that you have 2 phenoms at wide receiver who are true freshmen, and Antonio Williams, the old man of the group, who is incredible. And then you have this Tristan Smith coming in. And I'm just telling you right now, guys, when I look at the playability of this team, I look at these weapons, it's easy for you to build the argument, yes, this is the best team since the Trevor Lawrence era. Absolutely. You're having more and more pieces on the sideline who's running things and developing the team. And then you have experience out on the field. And then the youth that is on the field is unbelievable. Flip over to the defense. And I'm going to move faster here. Tom Allen, I've talked about Tom Allen ad nauseum. But I am telling you, this guy, this shows you the power of one guy, one person. The mentality is different. The strategy is different. Just because someone holds a position and is paid a lot of money does not mean that they know what they're doing. For the love of anything, are we going to learn from history? I don't care if it's sports. I don't care if it's business. I don't care if it's fill in the blank. You can have the title, but time will prove whether you know what you're doing or not. Tom Allen knows what he's doing. And I'm not running my mouth about Wes there. That wasn't towards West. That was towards the system, where people gets into the mentality, well, they're a professional and they're an expert. Bull crap. No. Hence, I give you Matt Luke and Tom Allen and the difference they make. Boom, like that. He's an expert. He has the talent. Peter Woods, TJ Parker, Avion Terrell, who is lighting up the draft boards. Will Helt is there. Sammy Brown coming off of a great season. I'm hoping Khalil Barnes will be in form this year. I think he will. Last year, it wasn't as good as this freshman year. Then again, you have to step back and say, well, you know what? Everybody knew he existed after the 2023 season. South Carolina definitely did. So, the pieces are there. Defensively, the pieces are there. Let's talk about the schedule. The schedule, highly favorable for the Clemson Tigers. Almost all of their difficult games, where are they? Clemson. LSU has to come to Clemson. Two of the top quarterbacks in college football will play day one. Where at? In Clemson. Garrett Nussmeier and Cade Klubnik. And if you go, and I did a video on this a couple of days ago, you go check that out. I talked about Cade. I defended Cade. I talked about just the maturation of Cade, the process, everything that he went through, because I think it's owed to him in a time where we see guys who have good ability, or in some cases even incredible ability, but as a person, they're a very questionable human being, and or they lack integrity and maturity. Cade Klubnik has actually proved quite the opposite. He's a person who has a lot of ability and a lot of integrity. He's a good person. He's seemingly I don't know him personally, but I've had so many people reach out to me and say the guy's just a good person. Go check out that video. But he is the number one guy you will almost always see when any publication, ESPN, Yahoo, CBS Sports, 24/7, On 3, almost every one of them, when you're talking the best quarterbacks in college football, and they're not going in alphabetical order, they almost always start off with Cade Klubnik. What a journey. And then Garrett Nussmeier is on down the list. Those two will play, but where? In Baton Rouge or in Clemson? Clemson. This schedule is so favorable. And I know for some of you would be like, okay, well, that really doesn't affect the best team. The best team should be able to go anywhere and win. I agree. When they have to go to Georgia Tech in week 3, even though it's just right down the road in Atlanta, that's a tough game. I'm already looking at that as a trap game. You don't have to get hyped up for LSU. You know that game's coming. You don't have to get hyped up to go play at South Carolina. You know that game's coming, especially after last year. Louisville, you got to go to Louisville this year, but guess what? Everybody remembers what happened this past season. But the majority of these tough games are actually at Clemson, and that works in the Tigers' favor. But the best team should be able to go anywhere and win. It doesn't matter where. And so that would be one curb that Clemson's got to get past. So I can talk about the kicker. Hoosier is just unbelievable. I mean, the guy is just ridiculous. And that brings confidence too. If the game's on the line, you got to kick a field goal. You're down by 1, you kick a field goal, you win. You want that guy going out there? You want, Doo-Doo Jones from No Name State coming out here to kick for it? No, you want that guy. Clemson has that guy. This is not cultivated, drummed up optimism. This is me looking at a coaching staff that's beginning to have more and more legitimate coaches, specialists on their team. leading and developing and creating the strategy and anticipating the adjustments so a team doesn't rush for over 300 yards on them. So the offense, though they have talent, they can't put up but more than 3 points on a team because they're supposedly good. We're seeing more of these right pieces in place. But let's talk about this. Let's talk about what needs to be done this season to turn the corner and say, yeah, this is definitely the best team since the Trevor Lawrence era. Now, I'm going to lead off with this one. This is one that I just read this morning. I was going over ACC teams. I was looking up ACC teams and just trying to get a feel for who's good this year and who's not. Because believe it or not, I just don't sit around and look at ACC teams all the time. I mean, there's so many doggone many. I mean, heck, they're out on the West Coast now. The ACC. But my point in this is that I was looking at the prediction for Clemson, the prediction for other ACC teams. And this particular publication, I'd have to go find it. In fact, if you'll just bear with me here, it's actually it was written by FSU Wire. It's part of USA Today, and they go through and give their projections. It was a post-spring game projection of each ACC team, and Clemson, they have projected 11-1, an ACC champion, and a college football playoff participant. What's the loss that FSU Wired predicted? LSU. Yep. Everyone and their brother is looking at LSU, and they're saying, we believe that Clemson is better. We believe that the coaching staff is there, but we still don't believe that Clemson is good enough to beat LSU in Clemson. Now, for me, unless LSU is just pure trash and Clemson beats LSU and then Clemson doesn't have the expected season, they lose some games that they shouldn't lose. They go back to that conservative play calling when they play a good football team. But when they play a team that they could just line up and beat, all of a sudden they're putting up 600 yards. Again, that can be fun, but that doesn't impress me in the long term. It's like a big kid beating up a little kid and thinking he's incredible. And then just same size kid walks up to him and now he's scared. Are they really a fighting champion? No. So for me, starting off the season with the win against LSU at home with all these pieces that I just laid out before you, us Clemson fans should be expecting that. Why? Again, because all the pieces are there. Have you noticed how LSU has struggled in certain games with Brian Kelly? LSU always recruits really, really well. So I'm not talking trash about LSU, but saying LSU recruits well is like saying water's wet and the sun is hot. They always do. The piece that doesn't make sense for them is Brian Kelly. You saw them lose to Southern Cal in the opening game last year. In fact, for the past 5 seasons, their very first game, their season opener, they have lost 5 straight. And if they lose to Clemson, it would be 6 straight season openers that they've lost. And they're coming into Clemson, South Carolina. One way that would tell me that this is the best team since the Trevor Lawrence era, it's beating a good football team no matter where you're playing them. I'm talking about a really good football team. There's a lot of high hopes for LSU this coming season. Now, I don't think they're going to win the national championship, but with Garrett Nussmeier and the recruits that they do have, And I'm still learning more about LSU. I don't know everything about them. I'm going to be very candid about that. But they are LSU. Clemson should win that ball game if they are the best team since the Trevor Lawrence era. Now, if Ohio State was coming down to Clemson, I would say, man, this is going to be a tough one. If Oregon was coming to Clemson, I'd say this is a tough one. There's something about LSU that makes me go, Clemson should win this ball game. I don't care if it's by a point. They should win this game. It's a I almost said hard fart ball game. Maybe it's that. Hard fought ball game. Clemson should still win the game. That would be one way to tell if this is the best team since the Trevor Lawrence era. Because Clemson, other than Notre Dame, has struggled beating really good football teams since the Trevor Lawrence era. They may get one here, maybe one there. But overall, if it's a good football team, Clemson's been losing. And I'm not talking about a good ACC football team. I'm talking about a good football team. Georgia can't beat them. Can't. South Carolina's become a problem. I'm not spewing trash and negativity here. I'm just saying one of the ways that we'll be able to tell if this is truly the best team since the Trevor Lawrence era is if Clemson comes out and they beat the good football teams and they're consistent throughout the season. Now, if they lose to LSU in game one, is their season over? No, but it's according to how they lose to LSU. Really, you lose by 31 points at home. You lose by 2 touchdowns at home. What's happening? Because I'm going to go ahead and tell you, LSU, they're going to lose some ball games this year. You know why? Because no shot at Brian Kelly. I just don't believe it in him in his tenure at LSU. So it's interesting to me that you would beat Clemson, but you would lose to some of the teams that they'll end up losing to this year. And you're like, how do you know this? Just look at history, baby. Look at history. It'll teach you a lot. So for me, I think, contrary to what the public thinks, I believe this game against LSU should be definitely winnable for Clemson because of all the pieces. What's the other piece? Hey, listen, do not get caught off guard by anyone. Don't. That would be another way to prove that you're actually turning the corner here. I'm not saying that Clemson has to go undefeated this season, though. If you look at their schedule, it's not out of question. It's very hard to go undefeated. I know. Ohio State lost 2 regular season ball games and won the whole darn thing. Okay? So before anyone goes, Brian thinks you have to be perfect. No, you don't have to be perfect. But I'm telling you, if you're inconsistent or if you're losing ball games to people it doesn't make sense, it doesn't always pan out for you. Most of the time it doesn't. It still blows my mind that Ohio State lost to Michigan this year. I don't care if it is a rivalry. That Michigan team was definitely beatable by them. But it happened. But I believe one of the ways that would prove this is that Clemson, they don't take the eye off the goal. You're not getting upset by North Carolina. So anyway, I truly believe based on the hirings, based on the returning personnel, and really based on, and it all originates back to Swinney repositioning, realigning himself with certain goals, and then having to say, this worked 7, 8, 10 years ago. It doesn't work now. So I'm having to change. Nick Saban had to change. But guess what? That man has so many rings, he could wear them on his toes. That's what happens when you reposition. Swinney doing that, I think that this, for people like me, it's making me pretty excited. And I just feel like there's a lot to be happy about. I'm going to get to the comments section, say hello to some people. Pardon me, I'm gonna have to mute this again because I'm about to start coughing, but I'm not sick. All right. I was sick about 3 weeks ago. My God, lost my voice. I still feel weak in my throat. It's just really, really weird. Let me see. David Woody, On time, let's go, brother. Thanks for supporting the channel. I see you're a monthly member. See the symbol beside your name. Thanks for being here. David supports on a monthly basis. So does Rusty Breaks. I see you got the symbol there. That's the YouTube symbol that YouTube gives them if they are a member of the channel. So if you want to join, it's $3 or $5 per month. I appreciate it. Thank y'all for supporting the channel. Gabe Smith, continuity and team chemistry is going to make such a huge long-term difference. I think Dabo is handling the portal perfectly. Yeah, I mean, I tell you this. I'm glad that he is slow moving with the portal. We see that the players that he brought in, the 3 players he brought in this year, it looks like they're actually going to, believe it or not, majorly contribute. That's what you want if you're someone at Clemson's level. There's no reason to go get a bunch of players out of the transfer portal just to participate. So I think it's a good deal. Sabrina O'Brien says, Dabo looking better every day. Such a smart man. The way that he's approached NIL and the way that he has approached the transfer portal, I think there's a lot of coaches that wish that they could approach it more like him than what they probably have. And some of them's getting burned and they're having to learn. Sometimes you have to touch the hot eye to realize I'm never going to do that again, or else, well, I like having skin on my hands and I don't like burning. So a lot of people are learning. Trevor Porter, got to stay on the gas. Agree with you 100%. And not at one time, especially on the offense. I don't think you're going to have to worry about that with Tom Allen. But on the offensive side of the football, one of my main concerns, I'll do a video on this, is Garrett Riley's ability to coach against a big football team. Because it has not fared so well for him. And I will go out on a limb right here at the 37-minute mark of my video that if Garrett Riley comes out and consistently calls the best football he's ever called of his entire life, you will see Clemson potentially go undefeated, win the ACC, and go deep into the college football playoff and potentially contend for a national championship. Now, for someone who is like, I'm glad you're starting to be optimistic now. I'm only optimistic when you give me a reason to be. I'm not going to lie to myself. I think lying to yourself is almost, well, it's lying to yourself. You got to stay on the gas. I agree with that 100%. Tiger Tom, I think hiring Bower will prove to be a good move. A lot of energy, relative experience, recent experience of playing college football, but he's still young enough. He's young enough to be able to communicate with these guys, but he's old enough to know when to back it off. And then working with Tom Allen's going to be massive for this guy's career. I'm telling you. Yes, I agree. Trevor Porter, my enthusiasm is based on the depth we have. So many experienced guys coming back. Yep. It's I'm telling you, experienced guys plus a decent Clemson's coaching room could still be better. But the guys that they have, you've seen, to prove my point, you've seen what just adding Luke and Tom Allen has done. You see just the incredible culture change that's there. I mean, it's proven my point. So could the coaching room at Clemson be better? Have they arrived? No, they haven't, and they could be better. But just the pieces they have in here, I'm telling you, that plus the returning players, a lot of great things. Douglas Spencer, another great show again. Man, thanks for supporting the channel and saying nice things. I do appreciate it. It's very nice. I think Dabo has it right by using the portal for specific positions while continuing to build the team on solid recruiting. Also think Riley still has something to prove in terms of stretching the offense out to support Klubnik's arm. Yes, and yes. My biggest, hold my breath, I've said this 3 times now, here goes 4, if not 5, is Garrett. Garrett has got to prove that he can beat a big football team, and he doesn't go into, well, we can't do that. Well, we can't do that. Well, we can't do that. Dude, you have a third-year starter, 4 out of 5 offensive linemen back with an offensive line guru. You have 2 freshmen who absolutely humiliated people last year, who's back. They're sizable. They're fast. You have Antonio Williams, and now you have Tristan Smith. Even your young running backs are fantastic. Dude, what's your excuse? What's your excuse, man? Don't give me one. This year will tell us a lot about Garrett Riley. It really, really will. And I hope that it tells us that he stepped up, and it would be good for his career. It'd be good for his career. I'm not taking shots at him. I'm just saying the big games have not been in favor for him. I agree with you 100%. Trevor Porter, LSU beats themselves in week 1 games. Yeah, I watched them play against Southern Cal. That was wow. Go Tigers. Eason and Rump need to get the ball rolling. The D line is non-existent in this recruiting class. Now they're raking the bottom of the barrel, it seems. There's some questions there. I know Rump just got back to Clemson. I know there's questions about Eason. I talked to a Clemson insider who told me, not the Clemson insider, but I talked to someone who is a Clemson insider who told me that they question. They don't question if he loves Clemson. They don't question if he's passionate. They don't question if he's intense. They question if his development is up to par. Love from Florida. Will, man, it's good to see you. Good to see you, my buddy. I think the LSU game is huge for national perception recruiting. If Clemson beats LSU, I think they steamroll the rest of the schedule. Lazy Jet, I'm kind of with you. I'm not saying that Clemson won't lose a game. Again, folks, I want you to hear me say this verbatim. Going undefeated is very tough, no matter how good you are. The defending national champions, the Ohio State Buckeyes, who you may hate, you may despise them, blah, blah, blah. Okay, you don't like them. Do they have the national championship? Did they beat the trash out of everybody they played in the college football playoff? Humiliated them. Did they lose 2 football games? Well, who was that to? Yes. They did lose to Michigan. Michigan was not that good this year. It's rivalry. Okay. You got the national championship. If you would have lost the first round of the college football playoff, that thought of losing to Michigan would not sit well with you. It wouldn't be okay. But my point there is Ohio State did lose 2 games. We were at the brink of having a 3-loss SEC team in the college football playoff. So, but I think it would make Clemson look really, really good. Trevor Porter. Hopefully the media buzz doesn't get to the guys' heads, keep their noses down and grind and feel like the 23 defense fluffed up and the 24 group and they took it easy. I think that Tom Allen won't let that happen. I think Tom Allen's one of those guys that's going to challenge you, and at first you like being challenged, and then the day that you start to fall back into some old habits, he's going to look at you and say, I'm not having that on my team. And you're like, whoa, it's creating new norms. You have to create a new norm. That's why changing is so tough for people, because either A, it hasn't been modeled for them, B, because of that, they've grown up in a situation or operated in a situation, worked in a situation, whatever it may be, that allowed them to be lazy. And then third, that can result into, which would be C, would result into, and I just had a total thought about Buzz on Home Alone, going through A, 2, and C. I just did that here. I can't believe I did that. But, sorry, squirrel moment. But the third reason is, once you start calling them out, they get prideful. You don't tell me how to do it. Oh, what? What? I've had success here before. What? Dude, you gave up 300 yards to Citadel. You shouldn't sleep at night. I mean, Texas, that's terrible, but they're Texas Citadel? What? Yeah. I agree with you. NIL changed everything. No more dynasties. Navigating that is going to be the greatest change. And also, I'll say this, Keith, and I know this is another video, but there are going to be people who continue to hit the portal and blame everyone around them. There are going to be, and they're not going to amount to anything. There are going to be people who hits the portal because they were lied to by their coaches and they were not given a fair shake, and they're going to go do well somewhere else. That is going to happen from time to time. And for those people, I'm happy for them. But I think that some of this portal stuff that's going to happen. You're still going to have, as I said, people, it's going to try to milk the system, try to get more NIL money. Part of that, I totally understand it because you go to work for money. I get it. Amateur sports is no longer here. So you're going to go get the bag. But I think there's going to be some guys who steps back and goes, well, I wanted to go to the NFL and so-and-so transferred and said that it was a business decision and they didn't even get drafted. You know, I like this NIL money, but I want that NFL money. And some people, it's going to back them off. Other people, they're just going to keep barreling down the road and transfer to their fourth and fifth school. And it's going to be bad. But anyway, folks, tell me, do you think this is the best team since the Trevor Lawrence era? I know it's in May and we're talking about this and we haven't played the games. It is to be determined. But I'm asking you, go out on a limb. Am I right? Am I wrong? Tell me why. Tell me what you're excited about. Tell me what questions you have about this Clemson football team. Do we need more changes in the coaching staff? Does the coaching staff just need more time to cook? I'd love to hear it. Love to hear it. Real quick, say hello to this guy because he's always in here. Russ-tastic. Hey, Brian, got here late and we'll watch the whole thing when you post the video. Hit like and subscribe because you're going to keep up with this channel. Thank you so much, man. It's very kind of you. That's a Tennessee Vol, too. I'm glad you're here. Folks, let me know what you think. Remember, if you haven't subscribed, you want to support the channel and you want to do it for free, hit the subscribe button. I do appreciate you being here. Y'all take care of yourself, and as always, go Tigers.